How stupid was to make this mistake? As you may have known, I have played in the Las Vegas final main tournament where there were like, I don't know, 70 or 80 entries. I get to the finals, it was a 15-point match, and I was leading 11-9. And there was this position, and of course, I mean, by looking at it, I mean, it's like, who is even cubing? I mean, Greece on the roll, Greece about to cube. Well, no. So I was 11, my opponent was 9. My opponent owned the cube, and he was on roll, obviously, and he cubed me, and I passed. Well, just by looking at this position, just without knowing any other facts, you would just tell me, well, I'm stupid. And well, I probably am. But anyways, I just like to discuss my thinking process because I don't think I've expressed it, I mean, on the stream or anywhere. So you may have been asking like why I dropped this cube and so on. First, I don't want to justify my decision because this was, of course, well, I mean, it's 1,000 blunders, so I don't really want to say that I made something good because I don't think I did. I don't think I did something correct. I don't think dropping the cube was correct, but I just want to talk you through the thinking process because I just think it's interesting or, well, again, I mean, interesting is kind of weird word to use in this situation, and I know I have to start using other words, but let's get into it. And before I do, I like to talk about the 3 week tournaments because in the past month there were 3 very interesting and very nice tournaments. One was in Malta, then Cyprus, and Vegas. So I guess all the tournaments will be happening next year as well. Malta, beautiful venue, love the tournament. There was an option to basically qualify online for one of the series. So that was just an amazing experience. I mean, everywhere in the world, well, not everywhere, but in most cities in Europe, there's like, I mean, degrees around 0 Celsius, right? And in Malta, there were like 15, 20, so it was just nice change of vacation. Then I flew to Cyprus, where I mean, the biggest tournament in the world. Well, not the biggest. In Istanbul, there's the biggest tournament, but with like biggest entries, combined prize pool, and everything. That's just the best in a 5-star hotel. Beautiful vacation, all inclusive, I guess it's called. So you can have drinks, food, perfect organization. Arde is the organizer of the tournament. He's got an amazing team, amazing stuff. So it's like week, I mean, it's a dream week, full of backgammon, full of everything you want. And then the Las Vegas tournament, where if you like gambling or if you just like to travel to US to one of the tournaments, this is just a fun event to join. And I'm not gonna skip it anymore longer. We will get to the position. So the tournament was pretty smooth. I got basically very lucky in early rounds against Mochi. I got to the finals and I was about to play against basically opponent I didn't know. I didn't know anything about him, so I just asked like few questions how he plays before the match. They told me he's a solid player basically. He can play, I don't know, 5 or something sometimes. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be tough, it's gonna be a nice match. But anyways, since the match started, he was playing pretty slow, right? So I don't know that I don't do this often, basically never, but as I didn't have any information, he was playing super slow even on like, I mean, not super slow, but like very careful, right? So he was like taking time on all the moves. And when the score was 1-6 for him, I believe, he was basically short on time, and that was the first moment. I mean, it's a 15-point match, right? And when the score was 1-6, I was like, well, I'm down in the match. So I was like, how can I win this match, right? And there were like first hopes, first somehow, I mean, first what came to my mind was, well, maybe I can win on time if I get lucky or something like that. Maybe he forgets, I don't know. So this was like the first seed what led to this mistake basically, because at 1-6 I thought like, oh my god, let's just win this on time. We had a short break afterwards. I turned the game over, turned the match over. I was winning 7-6, whatever. And it led to 11-9. At 11-9, if I remember correctly, he had like 4 minutes left on the clock, right? I mean, just so you know, like what should be the normal clock, what should be the normal time, what you should have left. It's basically he is 6 away, right? 6 away to the win. I'm 4 away to the win. So basically, what is set, he should have had like 10 minutes left if, I mean, ideally, right? Ideally, he should have had 10 minutes left. Well, he got 4. So I was like, okay, well, there is a good chance. I mean, I'm leading in a match, right? So that's just perfect. And if I lose somehow 1 or 2 points, well, maybe I can win on time. That was my just whole mindset over the board, right? I got to the position at 11-9 where I cubed, everything was going smooth and so on. Well, unfortunately, a very bad sequence occurred and I've got into this position. And I've got a lot of time on my clock. I never care about time. But I got to this position and suddenly he cubes me to 4, which I immediately knew that I was not happy about, of course. Even though, of course, I knew it was a take immediately. Um, it's just, well, I started thinking, right? And I was like, there was always this seed about the time that, well, I can win on time. And that was basically the fact what I was analyzing for like 4 minutes, right? So I was spending 3, 4, 5 minutes on this position and eventually decided to drop the cube as in part of an adjustment, and the biggest part was that I put at least like 50% of the time that I can win on clock. I thought I had 50% chance of winning on time. So where did I actually go wrong? Even if this was like all true, what I've just said, that maybe he was 50% of the time that he's going to lose on time, where did I go wrong? Well, the bad part was that I took 4 or 5 minutes on this position. Because, well, when somebody's thinking 4 or 5 minutes, well, what do you do? I mean, here you don't think about how to play something, right? I mean, you just probably look around and, well, you look at the clock, how much time your opponent's got left on the clock, right? Because you just don't like him thinking. So my suspicion is that, well, my opponent saw the time. I mean, I don't know if he knew about the time, if he knew about the time before. I mean, there's a good chance that he did, right? That's why I said 50% of the time. I mean, if he didn't, then he would probably lose on time, which, well, again, I will never know. But if he didn't know it about the time, well, when I took 4 or 5 minutes, that was pretty stupid of me. So, well, especially if I just dropped the cube because, well, now he realized the time. Now I just made a horrible blunder, which is like the craziest mistake I've ever made. And doesn't matter what. Again, the size of a mistake. Actually, we can check the match-winning chances. How much did I lose? Because it's the end of the match, so it's gonna be big, right? So, yeah, what I've lost was basically 14% in match-winning chances, which is just huge. And what was I thinking? Why was I scared about the position? What did I make another mistake here? I don't think it was that much pressure. I mean, of course, it was the finals and everything, but I really tried to just think about it rationally, right? And what I would just do normally. But I'd made one very, very huge mistake, which I want you to prevent it for your all matches. That was, well, I was losing all the match, right? So psychologically, when I started winning, and I was winning at this point, I really just, I didn't want to that he just turns the game over, right? Especially in positions such as this, where basically one roll will just win him the position, right? I mean, if he rolls 6-4, double, if he just escapes with a 6, I'm just dead if I dance, right? That's all wrong. That's not how you think. But the biggest problem what I did and is like he turns the cube to 4. And in that moment, I thought like, oh my God, I can lose the match here if I take the cube. Well, that's just the biggest mistake in the world because, well, how can I ever lose the gammon from this position? Even if everything works out, he closes me out, he escapes, well, what's gonna be his gammon chances? Even if I'm with one checker on the bar, I've got just 3 checkers left. It's not like I've got all the checkers in the outfield. So from that perspective, I think I regret. I'm pretty sure that I regret dropping the cube, especially when I didn't win the match. But this was just interesting. One of the most interesting decisions for me because until this moment, I don't think I've ever considered time. Well, I've considered it before, but I didn't consider it this much in this important moment to be part of the decision. I mean, most of the time when opponent is low on time, I do bananas, well, not banana splits, I slot checkers, I try to complicate the game. I, of course, try to pass more cubes and so on, but this is like a huge adjustment, which turns out to be wrong because it's just super huge. But yeah, well, there we go. So basically, my question to you is, would you just play normal backgammon if you knew it was, I mean, if you knew it was a take? Well, not this big of a take, okay, this is something different, but would you think maybe the same? Would you get your hopes up? Would you just think rationally, or what's your point of view? I'd be very interested from hearing from you. And yeah, so this is finally this biggest blunder analysis I've ever made. And yeah, well, I'll start new videos now. I'll try to do some updates on everything what happened, and we'll come up with new videos soon. So have a good day and enjoy.